Hello everyone. Today we shall see the oral communication, which is very important in today's world. So, what do you mean by oral communication? Oral communication is fundamentally different than written communication, wherein your voice has qualities that cannot be communicated in written form. So, your voice plays a very important role. As mentioned below, the tone of your voice, the volume with which you are communicating, the choice of the word, the pitch, everything plays an important role. It's not like written communication. So, in case of written communication, the work is only given to a pen and a paper and your ideas. Your voice doesn't come into picture. The volume with which you are going to talk doesn't come into picture. The pitch doesn't come into picture. But in case of oral communication, all these things come into picture. Right? So here you use these to your advantage when you're presenting your research. You can speak more informally and naturally than in written articles or this thesis. See, another very important advantage of the oral communication is you can speak more informally, which cannot be possible using a written communication. So, in case of written communication, you cannot speak informally. You have to speak formally, but you have to write formally. That there is no question of speaking. There is no speech comes into picture. Whatever is there, it should be noted down on the paper. So whatever you are noting down on the paper has a lot of restrictions. So you have to use those terminologies only to write down the articles or thesis. But when it comes to speech, you can speak more informally, depending upon the situation, depending upon the people with whom you are speaking, you are talking. So you can use sometimes formal communication is also required. Most of the times, when you are speaking to your friends, you can speak more informally and naturally because when you compare the oral communication and written communication, oral communication plays a very, very important role, which is all the time required to communicate with one another. Unlike written communication, maybe you may require a written communication once in a day or once in a week, wherein you are supposed to submit your assignment and when you are going to submit your assignment, you require more than a week to write down the contents, what you are supposed to write. And but when it comes to oral communication, every now and then you require the oral communication skills to speak to your friends informally, to speak to your elders sometimes informally, to speak to your higher authorities formally. So, oral communication has more importance towards informal communication as well as natural communication. So, you speak naturally, you should speak naturally, wherein you should not concentrate on the pronunciation sentence forming, nothing. Wherein your concentration only should be towards the idea which you are delivering it to your opposite party. So, the oral communication, the speech, the words which come out of your mouth should naturally flow like a flow of water. So, there should not be any lagging in words framing. There should not be any lagging in sentence framing. So, there are all these are all very important concepts to note in case of oral communication. So here your voice quality, the volume at which you are talking, the pitch, the effect of your listeners' engagement and understanding of the message's content. That's very important. How do you speak? Your voice clarity, your voice quality. So sometimes you have a good voice, soothing voice, when you love to listen to that voice. Sometimes you may have some people whose voice you may not like. The volume. Sometimes people may talk in very soft voice. Sometimes they may raise their volume. Sometimes they may use a low pitch. Sometimes they may use a high pitch. Normally, gents, when they are talking, they use a low pitch. But the ladies are talking, they use a high pitch effect. So, these are all the various points to note when you are orally communicating with one another. So, now let's see what is the meaning of a tone. You're delivering a message with a happy and enthusiastic tone will have a much different impact than serious or sad tone. Everybody will be happy to listen to you with your enthusiastic tone and happy tone rather than your serious tone and a sad tone. Normally, these differences you may observe with each and everybody. Suppose if you feel like your teacher is talking in a serious tone, then you may talk to your friends. See, he's very serious. Be careful to go in front of him. So he may shout at you. So the impact you see, impact on the tone. Otherwise, if a person is very sad, his tone is very sad, then we say, please don't go to him. He's very sad. His mood is not good. So better avoid talking to him. Maybe some other day you may get a chance to talk to him wherein he will interact with you in a very enthusiastic way and in a very happy way. So his tone says that he is sad, or his tone says that he is very serious. Better avoid. So tone plays a very important role. So, in most academic situations, it is appropriate to speak with some level of formality and avoid sounding stilted or arrogant. Very important. This is very important. In most of the academic situations, so we are all under this criteria. We are all coming under this criteria. In academic situations, it's very appropriate to speak with some level of formality. You have to avoid sounding stilted sounding or arrogant. So you have to avoid your arrogancy while speaking to anyone. It could be each other, it could be one another, something like that. So also check the tone of your words. Using words like obviously can alienate your audience. Avoid certain words when you're speaking. Obviously, see, this is not a word to be used in all the circumstances. Maybe once or twice you may use this word called obviously. One point you may note in most of the people when they speak, they use a good tone, but they have a habit of repeating a particular word every time, every now and then. Is it right? They may utter one sentence. Delivering a message with a happy and enthusiastic tone will have a much different impact than serious or sad tone. Is it right? In most academic situations, is it right? It is appropriate to speak with some level of formality. Is it right? And avoid sounding stilted or arrogant. Is it right? See, once or twice at an appropriate place, those words may be meaningful, but these words are not to be repeated. Do not use such kind of words. If you use that says you have a issue, you have an issue. You are not perfect in the subject. If you are perfect in the subject, you don't use such kind of words. You don't frame such kind of sentences. You are trying to kill the time by uttering these kind of words. Is it right? Are you okay? Normally, in teaching field, we use one set of words. Did you understand? See, a teacher can use this word. He will explain a concept. He will explain a concept. After explaining a concept, he says, did you understand? Means he wants to get the feedback from the students as to decide whether to repeat a concept or not. If the students understand the concept, the teacher can go ahead. If the students do not understand the concept, then he may have to repeat the same concept. So that's the reason normally a teacher says, do you understand? Do you follow me? Should I explain it once again? In teaching field, these are the words which are acceptable, but not in a public speech. In a public speech, you keep on talking. So if you want to fluently talk with a proper tone, see nowadays in speech, in music, one culture has come. That culture is called voice modulation. So voice modulation plays a very, very important role. The purpose of the voice modulation is to check whether the content, whatever you speak, is reaching the audience, whether the audience are pleased by your speech, by your voice modulation, or because of those voice modulation, they want to eagerly listen to you in future days. So these are all the things which work out with the voice modulation. And tone is actually the concept of voice modulation. So avoid certain words which are repeatedly used in your speech. Now your tone has to be proper. Next, volume. Your voice volume should be normal, but ensure your listeners can hear you or not. Okay? Your voice volume. See, volume should be normal. You should neither shout, you should be neither soft. You should talk in such a volume that you are audible to the gathering. You may have to use a little smaller volume if the audience is say 40. You may have to increase your volume if the audience is 60. You may have to increase the volume, or you may have to get the help of some technical assistance to increase your volume. In such case, you need not shout. See, volume and tone plays a very important role. If you raise the volume, you may have to sacrifice some tone. So, under such conditions, there are some technical assistance like audio systems wherein you can definitely talk in a very soft volume, very low volume with a beautiful tone so that the amplifiers are there which will amplify it and deliver it to the gathering. It could be 100, 500, 1000 or whatever it is. So, volume also plays a very, very important role. So, when you select a volume, your audience, who include English learners, also speaking louder and shouting don't help them understand you any better compared with accessible word choices delivered in a normal tone. So, if you deliver any concept in a normal tone, people will be happy to listen to you. People will understand better. Whereas, if you raise your volume, the words will not be soothing. Maybe for 5 minutes they may listen to you, maybe for 10 minutes they may listen to you, but later on, because of the loud volume, they don't wish to listen to you. So, your tone and your volume must be balanced so that listener should feel like more and more feel like he should listen to you more and more. That's what is a volume. So you have to keep in mind that you have to look into tone, you have to look into the volume also. Then selection of the word. You are going to select the word. Always remember, use the simplest possible words and you frame a sentence in a short form. Do not speak for more than 3 lines or 4 lines and stop. Use the smallest possible sentences. Use active voice sentences containing 10 or 20 words. Avoid idioms like figures of speech that don't translate literally. So be careful not to use words that you only usually see in written text, like journal articles, including the therefore such things, because this will make your presentation sounds scripted and unnatural. Don't even try to use the words from the text, from a written text, because written text has its own set of regulations which is apt for that particular write up. But when you are delivering that, you have to convert that into such a way that you are reading it, you are talking. The words should be different. Right? You should be careful not to use such words. Writing is a different culture, speaking is a different culture. So selection of word is very, very important because among the written communication and oral communication plays a very, very important role because from the early morning until you go to bed, you have to communicate with your friends or you have to communicate with anybody and everybody. So when you are communicating orally with anybody and everybody, use of words are very important. Framing a sentence is very important. The information, whatever you are going to deliver to your friend, is very important. So use active voice sentences, frame a smaller sentences as far as possible. Do not use the text written or a written text articles because there are different concepts involved in written text which cannot be directly converted into speech. Next one is pitch. Pitch refers to the frequency of your voice, which can raise or lower for the effect. If I'm happy, my pitch is changed. If I'm sad, my pitch is changed. If I'm thinking, my pitch is changed. If I'm shouting, my pitch is changed. So, the feelings, when I'm presenting my feelings, I do vary my pitch. Maybe within a band, within a frequency band. Normally we say gents pitch and ladies pitch. We are in the audio range. Technically, audio range is ranging from audio frequency is ranging from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. But normally it will be somewhere around 90 hertz to 150 hertz or 200 hertz. It all depends. But audio frequency is having that range wherein if any sound comes in that range, people can hear. So, pitch here is something which is directly connected to the feeling of your words. A pleasant, natural voice will have some variation in the pitch, as I mentioned. Sometimes you might raise it, sometimes you might lower it, depending upon the circumstance of the sentence. To communicate nuisance of meaning and keep the listener engaged. A speaker with a flat pitch will sound robotic and bored. Modulating your volume and pitch helps communicate rich emotions of your messages. A speaker with a flat pitch is something like a robot. For a robot, just deliver an audio. There is no emotions in the words of the robot. But it's not true with the human being. With the help of the modulation of your speech, by modulating your volume and by modulating the pitch, one can communicate with each other, with anyone, in a high, rich emotions. With high, rich emotions can be achieved. Normally, we take examples of the movies wherein if a scene is related to a sad incident, somebody is crying, but the feeling you may get by voice message also. Without the voice, if anybody is crying, you don't feel. And even when you are singing, when you are singing a song, the effect of that music can definitely be delivered by a singer by modulating its volume as well as pitch. Okay, now we have different types of oral presentations. First one is a presentation. As you can see, the top diagram, the figure at its top, presentation means you have a set of ideas in you. You are taking the technical help and You are presenting your idea to the audience. It could be your research presentation, it could be a market presentation for a business people, it could be a new technology, innovative presentation by any production company, or it could be anything. Normally, when the budget session is completed, so financial experts they do present the budget. They do mention, they do present what would be the effect of the budget on Indian economy, and how do we achieve, how do our GDP increase, or if is there any increase in the GDP, is there any decrease in the GDP, how are we going to attract the foreign market. See, all these things you can present it to the audience, and at the end of the presentation there will be question answers. So this is one type of oral presentation. Second type of oral presentation is a small group communication, wherein four or five people sit together, then they talk to one another. Say talk to one another, not talk to each other. So if you want to say talk to each other, there should be only two people. They can talk to one another, and this group is considered to be a small group. Very important it is. Communication among the small group is one type of oral presentation or oral communication. Why I am giving an importance to this is, in your placement drive, one of the activities for selection, one of the criteria for the selection is group discussion, wherein the company HR they come and they constitute small groups of unknown people, then they let them to communicate with one another in the group, and through that they will get the idea how about your performance as a group member using small group communication skills. Okay, so this is a very small group communication where people are sitting face to face and communicating. This is another type of communication. One more type of communication is what is called interpersonal communication. You're communicating by exchange of information, by exchange of feelings, and exchange of meaning through verbal and non-verbal messages. It's a face-to-face communication. Just look at the diagram there. It's an interpersonal communication. Example I can give you is your WhatsApp video call, wherein it's a process by which people are exchanging their information, people are exchanging their feelings through verbal and even through non-verbal messages also. Non-verbal messages means your activities, your actions, so that people can see you, the other party from other side can see you. So using the aid of technology, you may not be sitting together, you may be far away from each other, but you are communicating. This type of communication is what is called interpersonal communication. For example, you can have a WhatsApp group communication. Five people can open a video call through WhatsApp and they can speak to one another face to face. Or only two people can talk using video call, video chat, one by one, through using face to face communication. So this is also one of the communication skills that is called interpersonal communication skill. Now, public speeches. Public speeches are the ones wherein you are standing on a stage A large audience is sitting in front of you, and you are speaking to such audience. It's a challenge that you are not nervous. Sometimes what happens is people become nervous when they are in public speeches. They do get nervous when they stand before the public because it's a large community of audience. It's a large audience which they are going to listen to you. Then you will be sometimes you'll be blank. You might have prepared hours together. You may sit and you may prepare a very good speech. And the moment you come and stand on near the podium, and you look at the audience, look at the public, you have to have a guts to speak in front of the public. It may be 100, 500, 1,000, etc. So initially, all the people when they go for the public speech get nervousness, but as gradually they continue such kind of public speeches, they get confidence. So this is one of the methods to gain confidence, which improves your oral presentation skills. Then formal conversations. So formal conversation uses a polite words, right? A polite words like, have you had your coffee? Good morning. Have a nice day. A pleasant, soothing greetings. I shall meet you tomorrow. Are you okay? Goodbye. Have a nice day. So these are all the conversations which are formally used in communication. So these are all called formal conversations. Then another one is what is called intrapersonal communication. Something very important. Intrapersonal communication means you are talking to yourself. Don't think that you're mad. Like you speak to yourself. Okay, today I learned the written communication. So in the written communication, these things are there. Different types of written communication: email, drafting a letter, or creating one blog page. So you talk to yourself to build up your confidence. Or okay, tomorrow you are going to present your ideas to the audience. So you have a presentation. So today night you can sit in the room and you can present to yourselves. That is intrapersonal communication. Next, you have got something called meetings. So, in the meeting, you have people who are sitting together. Everybody will be given a chance to speak. And see, there are certain rules to be followed in the meeting. What is somebody should initiate the meeting, somebody should greet, somebody should welcome, then he should mention what is the agenda of the meeting. Then chances should be given to everybody who is participating in that meeting. Then there will be one person who is supposed to head the meeting. Is considered to be the president of that meeting. He will be heading that meeting. So some discussion, some decisions can be taken through that meeting. When discussions, it's informal. Whenever you go to some function, you meet your friends. You start discussing with them about what you don't know. Then and there you get some matter, you discuss it. Maybe after 2 minutes or after 3 minutes, you get one more friend. Then you also start discussing whatever you have discussed with the previous friend may be different from others. Later, you can have some other discussions. Like this, discussions, there is no formality. There is no decisions to come out in discussion. Keep on discussing. Maybe you meet your friend and say, "Yeah, yesterday we had a successful Chandrayaan 2. So India is very great. Scientists, Indian scientists are really great." You talk to your friend who is in the field of technology. When it comes to your friend who is an agriculturist, you say, "Oh, very sorry, this time we didn't have required rain. We were expecting a good rain, but we did not get that much rain. So we are going to get a lot of difficulties related to groceries and other things." See, matter is different. So, like this, when you go to one more guy, you start to talk to him related to both of you, which may be totally different from other friend. So this is what is called discussion. There is no formalities. So it's purely informal. No conclusion is involved in this. Right? With that, I'll conclude this video. Have a nice day. Thank you.